Carmel Sepuloni.
Mr Speaker, to the Prime Minister, does he stand by all his statements and actions?
Yes, and especially our action to restore law and order. We have had a massive couple of weeks delivering on our agenda to keep Kiwis safe in their homes, their businesses and their communities. Last week, police announced dozens more cops are set to join community beat teams, on top of the existing teams already making an impact in the Auckland, Wellington and Christchurch CBDs. And we have fresh powers are coming for police to go after gangs, with our new gang laws being passed by Parliament last week, although I note not by the Labour Party, and set to take effect later this year. And today Parliament will have the first reading of our sentencing bill, designed to impose tougher sentences on violent and repeat offenders. I hope Labour will support that. Kiwis deserve to feel safe, and after years of soft on crime approach from the previous government, we've finally taken action to make sure they feel so.
Supplementary. Why did he reject officials' advice that $3 billion a year is needed to achieve child poverty targets, but was all too willing to give $2.9 billion in tax breaks to landlords? And who does he think needs that money more, landlords or children living in poverty?
Well, if spending more money was actually the answer to child poverty, then it would have been solved under the last Labour government, because they increased government spending by 84%. The government, that previous Labour government spent tens of billions of dollars more, and yet child poverty went backwards in the last year of that government by the tune of 23,000 more kids in poverty.
Supplementary. Is he concerned that he has overseen 22,000 more people on the Jobseeker benefits since he took office, when he has set a target of 50,000 fewer job seekers?
Well, again, we have rising levels of unemployment because why? The previous Labour government spent 84% more, drove inflation through the roof, drove interest rates through the roof, put the country in recession for the last 2 years, and as a consequence, if you've been lucky enough to survive all of that as a business, yes, you end up with rising unemployment. But we are doing everything we can to get people off welfare and into work. What we won't tolerate is 75,000 more people being added to welfare unemployment benefits at a time of low unemployment, as we saw in the last government.
Mr Speaker, how will this government be able to meet targets of shorter stays in hospital emergency departments and wait times for elective treatment when hiring for clinical staff has been frozen and Health New Zealand has not been funded to keep pace with inflation?
Well, I totally reject the characterisation of that question, because this is a government that cares about health. We put almost $17 billion more in it. We've funded $2 billion into Pharmac, $600 million more into cancer drugs, and actually we're making some good progress. We've got a lot of work to do to clean up the mess that's been left behind, but on workforce, the good news is we have more nurses working in the healthcare system, 29,000 of them, than we had at any time in New Zealand's history. And this year we've actually got a record intake of GP registrars, 230 of them are doing their registrar work right now.
Just to remind members that interjection should be rare and reasonable, and while it might be interesting to make your comments, it doesn't particularly add to the public information.
Mr Speaker, is he concerned that there are now 104 fewer police officers than when he became Prime Minister, as at 24th of August, particularly when his government had promised 500 more police? Or is it not about the, quote, frickin' targets, end quote, after all?
Well, again, this is a government that wants to restore law and order in New Zealand, and we are doing a fantastic job. It is a big job, but we're off to a good start. We have seen the Comancheros gang completely disbanded and taken out. Fantastic. We've got brand new gang legislation coming in to give the police more powers and tools to fight back against violent crime. Gang members are 1/4% of the New Zealand population, yet they drive up to 1/5 of all the violent crime, and that party didn't support that legislation last week.
Mr Speaker, how does working from home affect the government's ability to provide services to the public when compared to the effect of disestablishing over 6,000 roles in the public service?
Well, we have big expectations of the public service. We want them to be highly productive, and we want them to be firing on all cylinders, because we've got a lot of problems to fix and we've got a lot of opportunities to realise. So we want people to know that they can have some clear expectations from this government, which is very simply, it's not an entitlement, it's actually by agreement. That's how it gets done.
Mr Speaker, when will he take responsibility for his government's actions and stop blaming public servants and the opposition for his own inadequacy and lack of leadership.
Well, we take full responsibility on this side of government. That's what we do each and every day, to rebuild the economy, to lower the cost of living, to restore law and order, and to deliver better health and education. And I just say, after 6 years of government, I understand the bitterness because you didn't achieve anything.
It may make members feel better if they do yell out some interjection. I just ask you all to think carefully about how that's perceived publicly.